name's Joella. Thank you for joining me. We'll get started with the yoga practice here in just a minute. A few things before we get started. Please make sure that you're always listening to your body. So if anything feels uncomfortable, anything causes you any pain, please make sure you skip it. I will offer some modifications throughout our practice today, but you're always welcome to take a child's pose, down dog, anything like that. So yeah, that's it. Also, please make sure you have any underlying health conditions that you've checked with your doctor before starting a new exercise routine. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to just sit in a nice, comfortable seated posture. You can sit with your legs crossed in like a sukhasana or crisscross applesauce. Sitting up nice and tall, you can close your eyes. We're going to take a moment here to focus on our breath. So like I said, if it feels comfortable in your body, you can close your eyes and just be still for a moment, noticing how you're feeling. Go ahead and take a nice deep inhale through your nose and exhale out your nose. And again, inhale and exhale. Again, in and out. Just focusing on how your breath feels in your body. Trying to make your inhales and exhales even. This time as you inhale, think of filling your whole chest with air. Really getting down to the bottom of your lungs. And then exhale out completely. So all the air that gets trapped in your lungs throughout the day is coming out. And inhale through your nose. And exhale out your nose. Continuing to breathe like this on your own. Maybe you can inhale a little longer, a little slower. As we move through our practice today, we'll focus on these nice even inhales and exhales, trying to find the same breath as we flow through our postures. In yoga, we breathe through our nose because it helps us heat our body. It also makes our breathing more focused, and it serves as like a natural filtration system for our air. A few more breaths here before we begin to move. You can keep your eyes closed now still if you want, or you can gently begin to open them. We're going to add some movement. So go ahead and bring your hands gently to the floor behind you, wherever they reach. So you're sitting up nice and tall, your arms are long. Inhale here and exhale, belly button to spine, chin to chest. We're going to round forward in a seated cat pose. Then inhale, collarbone broadens, spine lengthens, tailbone reaches back towards the back of your mat for a seated cow. And exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Remembering how long our breaths were before and making our movement match our breath, taking just as long. So exhaling to our cat. Inhaling, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. And exhaling just back to neutral spine. Go ahead and inhale your arms forward and up as if they were in Urdhva Hastasana, upward facing hand pose. And we're going to wrap the whole outer side of our arms in. So it's an external rotation. It's a little confusing when our hands are up because it seems like they're moving in, but if they were by our sides, they'd be moving out. So the pinky side of your arms coming together. Breathing here. You can also think of it as like closing off your armpits. Shoulder blades move down away from your ears. One more breath. And exhale, hands forward and down. This time we're going to interlace our fingers and turn our palms out, lifting our arms up. So that same action is happening here. Outer upper arms wrapping in, but at the same time you're Pushing your palms up, your pinky fingers spinning down towards your back. One more breath here. And exhale, hands down in front of you. You can release that. And we're going to come down to our backs. So just gently lay on back, feet flat to the floor, about hips distance apart, feet parallel to each other, and parallel to the outer edges of your mat. Flowing through a bridge pose here. Exhale here. Inhale, pressing through all four corners of your feet. Hips lift. And exhale, lower. Taking your full breath to make the movement. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Thinking of your tailbone lengthening towards the back of your knees, your low back ribs lifting away from your sacrum, pressing down through your outer arms. Imagine like you were squeezing a block between your knees, so your knees are pointing right out over your second toe. Last one. Exhaling, hips back down to the floor. Windshield wiper your legs from side to side here. Bringing them back up to center. Go ahead and hug them in towards your chest. Gently rock from side to side in Apanasana. And then extending your legs down your mat, laying on your back. But instead of taking like a relaxed Shavasana position here, imagine your Tadasana pose, but laying down. So like you were standing up in your Tadasana and somebody pushed you over, now you're laying on your back. So imagine an imaginary floor under your feet here. So your feet are parallel to each other, pointing up towards the sky, knees pointing up to the sky. Your thighs are engaged, so they're lifting up towards your hips, inner thighs wrapping down towards the floor. Think of your hip points, the bony structures right here at the front of your body, lifting up towards your low ribs. Tailbone and your buttocks flesh lengthening down toward your heels. Finding all four natural curves in your spine. So your sacrum, your low back should be touching the floor. Your back, your spine just above that lifts slightly off the floor. Your thoracic spine behind your rib cage is touching the floor. And then your cervical spine, your neck, has a little arch up off the floor there. One more breath here. Really engaging your legs like you were standing up. Inhale your arms up and over like Urdhva Hastasana. Outer upper arms, triceps wrapping in. Maintaining that neutral spine. And exhale, go ahead, hug your knees into your chest. Curl up in a little ball, so bring your knee towards your knees, or your chin towards your knees, not your knee towards your knees. And let's begin to rock forward and back. Do 4, 3, 2. This time you can swing your legs around or come up and over, coming right into plank pose. So legs go back behind you. Wrists right underneath your shoulders, wrist creases parallel or slightly turned out to the front edge of your mat. Maybe pressing down a little more into your thumb and index finger. Balls of your feet pressing down to the floor. Tailbone lengthening down towards the back of your heels. Just like we were a moment ago, finding our Supta Tadasana. Same shape here, but balancing on our hands. All right, one more breath here. Always an option to place your knees down toward the floor. We're going to hinge our shoulders forward of our fingertips. And exhale, Chaturanga, keeping our outer upper arms wrapping in towards our rib cage. Pausing here. Pushing back up to plank. Moving in one long line. Again, inhale, hinge forward. And exhale, this time lowering all the way down towards the floor. All right. Go ahead, release your hands down to your side. You can move your cheek to one side. Taking a breath here. Switching to the opposite cheek if you brought your cheek down. Coming into Shalabhasana. Have your palms facing down. We're going to exhale here and inhale. First, chest, shoulders lift up off the floor. Hands can stay down. Tops of your feet pressing down to the floor. Tailbone lengthening towards the backs of your knees, towards your heels. And exhale, lower. Again, inhale, chest, shoulders lift. This time, arms lift, palms facing towards each other. One more breath here. Tailbone lengthening down. Exhale, lower. I say that a lot, tailbone lengthening down. That's to protect your low back. So when we do these back bends, we don't want it coming from our low back, but rather finding length there. Last one, exhale here. Inhale, chest, shoulders, arms, and legs lift this time. Really finding length from the crown of your head to your feet. Like they're pulling in opposite directions rather than just pulling up. One more breath. And exhale, lower down. Bringing your hands shoulder distance apart and then walking them back so that your wrists are right underneath your shoulders. Exhale here. Inhale. Upward facing dog or cobra. So pressing into your hands down the tops of your feet. Tailbone lengthening down. Sternum lengthening forward. Exhale, lifting from your inner thighs, hips up and back. Downward facing dog. So feet, again, hips distance apart. Making an upside down V shape here. Hands are shoulder distance, maybe slightly wider. A little bend in your knees so you can lengthen your tailbone up towards the sky. Still finding that same rotation of your arms, so your outer upper arms, your triceps wrapping in. One more breath here. The bottom of your exhale looking towards your hands, walking your feet forward. Forward fold at the front of your mat, feet hips distance apart, little bend in your knees, clasping opposite elbows, gently swaying from side to side here. Releasing your hands. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift, crown of your head lengthens forwards, shoulder blades gently pull together. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, standing all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands to your side, Tadasana, mountain pose. Again, inhale, arms forward and up. Exhale, hips sink back, Utkatasana, chair pose. Inhale here. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Exhale, stepping your feet back to plank. Chaturanga, lowering down all the way or maybe halfway. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Lowering your left knee down to the ground, stepping your right to the inside of your right thumb. Inhale, forward and up, low lunge. Exhale, right away, hands down to either side of your right foot. Stepping back, downward facing dog. Other side. Right knee lowers to the ground, left foot steps up between your hands. Inhale, arms forward and up. Lengthen your tailbone down here, hugging your outer hips in. Hands come down to either side of your left foot. Stepping back, downward facing dog. Pausing here for about 3 breaths. Pressing down a little more into the thumb and the index finger of your hands as your triceps wrap in towards your face, knees bent so your tailbone can lengthen up. The bottom of your exhale looking towards your hands, walk, step, or maybe float your feet up. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose, just for a moment as you continue to stand up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands to your side, Tadasana. One more time, just like that. Arms forward and up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Chaturanga, stepping your feet back. All the way or halfway. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back, down dog. You can set that left knee down or right foot steps up. Inhale, low lunge. Outer hips hugging in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left foot steps up. Inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pausing here, 3 breaths. The bottom of your exhale, looking towards your hands, walk, step, or float your feet up. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms forward and up, chair pose, Utkatasana. Staying all the way up, hands to your side, Tadasana, mountain pose. Last time, inhale, arms forward and up. Exhale, hips sink back, weight a little more in your heels here, outer hips hugging in. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Chaturanga, maybe floating back, landing with bent elbows if you do. Inhale, Cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back, down dog. Right foot steps forward, low lunge. Getting into our hip flexor here, stretching there a little bit. Exhale, hands down, downward facing dog. Other foot, left foot steps forward, inhale, low lunge. Maybe finding a little back bend through your thoracic spine so your tailbone's still lengthening down. Exhale, hands down, downward facing dog, and pause. One more breath here. The bottom of your exhale, looking forward, walk, step, float your feet up. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Staying it all the way up. And right away, exhale, forward fold. We're going to step our left foot back to the back of our mat. Setting up for warrior 2 here. Heel toeing your right foot over to the midline, spinning your back heel down so you're lined up heel to arch. Knee and toes pointing up towards the top left corner of your mat. Inhale, arms up, warrior 2. So pressing a little more into the big toe mound of that front foot, inner right knee moving over to your right, knee right over top of your ankle. Looking out over your right hand, engaging that back leg, quads lifting up, pressing into that thigh bone as your right glute cheek wraps under. One more breath here. Inhale, reverse warrior. Left hand to left leg, just gently laying there. Right hand lifts up, keeping that front knee bent right over top of our ankle. Breathing here. Stretching through our right side. One more breath. Keeping your upper body how it is, lengthen through your right leg, straightening it here. Inhale, arms come out to a T. Exhale, Trikonasana, triangle pose. Right hand reaches towards the right, comes down to the inside of that right leg, left hand reaches up overhead. Pelvis tips forward. Back leg stays engaged, that quad still lifting up into your thigh bone, looking up at your top hand. Pressing down a little more into the big toe mound of that front foot as your right glute cheek continues to wrap under. One more breath. Exhale, look down towards that bottom hand. And inhale back into warrior 2. Pausing here for a moment. One more breath. On your exhale, hands come down to either side of that front foot, back heel pops up. Option to float through your vinyasa or skip it. Meeting in downward facing dog. One more breath here. The bottom of your exhale, walk, step, or float your feet up. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms forward and up, Utkatasana, chair pose. One more breath here, hips sink back. Spine is neutral, just how it was when we were laying down earlier in our practice. Inhale, standing all the way up. And exhale, forward fold. This time our right foot is going to step back to the back of our mat. Heel toeing our left foot to the midline. Right heel spins down, lined up heel to arch here. Left knee right over our left ankle. Inhale, warrior two. That back quad is still engaged. Lifting your inner thigh back. Tailbone lengthening down, so your hip points are lifting up away from your thigh bones. Arms can come out to a T, pressing down a little more to the big toe mound of that front foot. Pressing down to the outer edge of the back foot as that thigh spins in. One more breath here. On your inhale, right hand comes back to your right leg, left hand lifts up and over, stretching through the left side body, keeping that left knee right over top of that left ankle. That right hand's just gently resting there. It's not putting any pressure on that leg. Inhale, straighten through your left leg. Keeping that back thigh engaged, still lifting that hip point up and away from the thigh. Inhale, arms out to a T. Exhale, left hand reaches to the left, pelvis tilts to the left. Hand comes down to the inside of the left leg. Right hand reaches up, maintaining length through your left side body here, thinking of your low ribs, lifting away from that hip point. So it's not about how far you can reach down, but how much space you can maintain here. Can you maintain equal space on both sides of your rib cage? This left glute still wrapping in and under. You can look up at that top hand. One more breath. Exhale, look down toward the left hand. Inhale, back up to warrior two and pause. Exhale, hands come down to either side the left foot. Stepping it back. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back, downward dog. Pausing here. One more breath. The bottom of your exhale, look towards your hands. Walk, step, or float your feet up. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms forward and up. Chair pose, Utkatasana. Spine's long, hip points lifting away from your thighs, so we're not sticking our bum out, but it's just extending down from our spine. Inhale, standing all the way up. Exhale, Tadasana, mountain pose. All right, we're gonna take a wide-legged forward fold. So step your feet wide, ideally ankles right underneath of your wrists. If that feels too wide in your knees or your hips or just anything doesn't feel right, you can walk them in a little bit closer. So we're gonna start the first time, we're gonna do this twice. Hands are gonna start right here on our hips. So again, engaging our quads, lifting them up. You can think of your kneecaps lifting up away from your shins. Tailbone lengthening down, buttocks, flesh moving downwards. Again, that's to protect your low back so that when we do back bend, it's coming from your thoracic spine and not your lumbar spine. So standing up nice and tall, feel for those hip points again. And exhale, see if you can feel that begin to tilt forward. Pausing about halfway down. Weights coming a little more into the balls of your feet. Heels are right behind your second toe, so your feet are parallel to each other. Quads are continuing to lift up. Your outer hip is right over top of your ankle. Even if you need to bend your knees a little bit, your hips are still right over top. It's your knee that's moved forward, not your hips, or your hips moving back even. One more breath here. And exhale, hands come down to the floor, just wherever you can reach, your thighs, your shins, any of that is fine. Walking your hands back as you maintain length through your spine. On your next exhale, you can allow your spine to soften, but your legs stay engaged, so still lifting up on your quads. Pressing evenly down through all four corners of your feet. One more breath here. Bringing your hands back to your hips, elbows pointing up. Inhale, staying all the way up. We're gonna do that one more time, this time with a little added shoulder opener. So we're gonna clasp our hands behind our back. If that feels uncomfortable for you for any reason, you can, I don't know if you can see that, clasp your thumbs, or grab opposite elbows is acceptable as well. So whatever feels comfortable. And if none of those options work for you, hands back on your hips and you can repeat the first side. So inhale, standing up nice and tall. Arms nice and straight if you have them clasped so that your wrists are together. We're not letting them go out. Again, standing up nice, tall, engaging your quads. Exhale, hinging forward from your hips. Arms come up and over. Breathing here. Weight still coming a little more forward into the balls of your feet. You can have a little bend in your knees. One more breath. And release your hands back down to the floor. This time, soften your knees, go ahead and bend them, and just gently roll up to stand. Rolling your shoulders back, and just heel toe your feet back together, and come up to stand at the top of your mat. So feet hips distance apart, lifting on your quads, lengthening your tailbone down, hands by your side, Tadasana mountain pose. Just taking a breath here. Inhaling your arms forward and up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hips sink back, Utkatasana chair pose. Inhale here. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Exhale, stepping back, maybe floating back, Chaturanga. Inhale, Cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back, downward dog. This time, stepping your right foot forward to the inside of your right thumb. Inhaling up, high lunge. So feet are on railroad tracks here, hips distance apart but spread out. Your heel, the back heel is lifted right over top of your second toe. This front knee is right over top of your front ankle. And right behind your second toe. Your ankle is right behind your second toe. Outer upper arms wrapping in. Little bend in that back knee so you can lengthen your tailbone down. Exhale, maybe bringing your palms to touch. Gaze up towards your thumbs. Outer hips hugging in. That inner back thigh lifting towards the ceiling. And exhale, hands come down to either side of the front foot. Option, Chaturanga. Inhale, Cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back, downward dog. Right away, left foot steps forward to the inside of that left thumb. Back heel's lifted. Inhale up, high lunge. Little bend in that back knee. Sucking your outer ankles in on that back foot so your foot is not sickling or turning in. But your heel is right above your second toe. Front knee tracking over your second toe so you can see your big toe if you look down to the inside of your knee. Bringing your palms together, maybe peering up towards your thumbs for a moment, still finding length in your spine. Exhale, hands come down to either side of that front foot. Stepping your left foot back, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back, down dog. On the bottom of your exhale, look towards your hands, walk, step, or float your feet up. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms forward and up, Utkatasana, chair pose. Staying all the way up. Exhale, hands to your side, Tadasana, mountain pose. We're going to move through that same sequence again, but this time flowing with our breath. It's Surya Namaskar B. So feet hips distance apart, Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale, arms forward and up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hips sink back, Utkatasana. Inhale here, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, stepping or floating back, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right away, right steps, foot steps forward. Inhale up, high lunge. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back, downward dog. Inhale, left foot steps forward, high lunge. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back, down dog. Pausing here for 5 breaths. Pressing down through your hands. Heels right behind your second toe. Finding leg through your spine. Finding ease here. Reconnecting to your breath. The bottom of your exhale, looking towards your hands. Walk, step, or float your feet up. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms forward and up. Chair pose. Standing all the way up. Exhale, hands to your side, Tadasana. Noticing how your body feels here for a moment. You can close your eyes for a second. All right. Again, inhaling your arms forward and up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, this time just step it back, down dog. Lifting our right leg up and back, 3-legged dog. So outer hips hugging in, toes and knees pointing down towards the floor. Legs only stepping up to hip height. Length through both sides of our torso. One more breath here. Then exhale, bringing your knee up towards your nose, sitting it down to the inside of your thumb. This time we're going to spin our left heel down, maybe stepping it in a little bit. So you can press through the pinky toe side edge of that back foot, keeping your right hip hugging in and that back thigh lifted, pressing through the big toe of this right foot. Inner right thigh lifting up. Inhale, arms forward and up. Warrior one. Virabhadrasana 1. Breathing here. Go ahead and exhale your hands behind your back. We're going to clasp our hands, maybe just interlacing your thumbs or hugging your opposite elbows. Clasping our hands behind our back, keeping that front knee right over top of that front ankle. Tailbones lengthening down, finding space here in our chest, standing up nice and tall. And exhale, hinging forward from your hips, finding humble warrior. Arms come up and over, keeping the engagement in our legs. Outer hips really hugging in. We have a tendency of letting our right hip jut out to the side here. One more breath. Releasing your hands, coming back up to warrior one. Exhale, hands down to either side of that front foot, spinning your back heel up, stepping back, downward facing dog. Breathing here. Okay, lifting your left leg up and back, three-legged dog, right to hip height, toes and knees pointed down, hips really hugging in. One more breath here. Bringing your left knee towards your nose, and then stepping it down the inside of that left thumb. Feet or hips distance apart, maybe slightly wider. Back heel spins down, pressing to the outer edge of your right foot, lifting up on that quad, left knee over left ankle. Inhale, arms forward and up. Outer hips hugging in. Fiercely spinning that back right leg in. Lengthening your tailbone down. One more breath like this. Exhaling your hands down by your side, interlacing your hands behind your back, or again, finding one of those other options if that's a little too much in your shoulders. Inhale, stand up nice and tall, finding length in your low back, opening through your chest. And exhale, hinging forward from your hips, humble warrior. Keeping the engagement of that back leg nice and straight. Left hip hugging in, breathing here. Finding that same even inhale and exhale we had at the very beginning of our practice. Inhaling, releasing your hands back up through warrior one. Exhale, hands down to either side of that front foot, spinning your back heel up, stepping it back, downward facing dog. All right, again, lifting your right leg up for three-legged dog. Reaching through your heel, keeping that thigh pressing up, your right thigh pressing up so your legs nice and straight here, outer hips hugging in. Exhaling your right knee towards your nose, stepping it down to the inside of your right hand. Stay where you are. I'm going to scoot back a little bit so you're going to be able to see me in a second. All right. So feet are hips distance apart here, but spread out. So we're on the ball of our back foot. We're not spinning it down like we did for warrior one. Inhaling your arms forward and up, high lunge. Little bend in that back knee. We're going to exhale, hinge forward slightly so your torso is just a couple inches off that front thigh. Arms come back behind you like you're Superman. Broadening through your collarbone here. Outer hips hugging in. We're going to press down through this right foot. Begin to lift up through our right quad and come in to warrior three. So that back leg has that same action that we just had in our three-legged dog. Toes and knees are pointing down towards the floor. Inner thigh spinning up. Lifting up on the quad of your supporting leg, the big thigh muscles. Broadening through your collarbone. One more breath. Coming out of it the same way you came in. So gently bending that front knee. Coming back in to your high lunge. Exhale, hands down to either side of that right foot. Stepping it back, downward facing dog. Breathing here. All right, left foot lifts up and back, three-legged dog. One more side, almost there. So inner thigh reaching up, toe and knee pointing down towards the floor. Exhale, knee to nose. Sit it down to the inside of your left thumb. That back leg is nice and straight, inner thigh lifting up, So this is like the same shape we're gonna be in when we come up that back leg, the same shape as when we come up into our warrior three. So from here, inhale your arms forward and up. Here we place a little micro bend in that back knee to protect our low back. Exhale, hinging forward, hands come back to about your hips, torso's a few inches off that top thigh. Spine's nice and long here. Hips are even with each other, outer hips hugging in. We're gonna press down through our right foot, lift up, left foot. Pressing down through our left foot, lifting up on your left quad. That back foot comes up to hip height. Toes and knees spinning down to the floor, outer hips hugging in fiercely. Broadening through your collarbone, nice and long from the crown of your head back to your heel. Breathing here. Your exhale, gently stepping that foot back to our high lunge Anjaneyasana. Exhale, hands to the floor, and stepping it back, downward facing dog. One more breath here. We're going to step our right foot just behind our right wrist. Heel toeing your right foot over behind your left wrist. Right knee comes down behind your right wrist. This left leg is just going to scooch back straight behind your hip. So it's not going out to the side or coming into the center, but it's a straight line from your hip socket. Your right hip will likely be a little bit off the floor here. That's okay. You want to keep it lifted. You want your hips right over the center, not tilting to one side or the other. This front shin, your right foot can come as close to this left hip as feels right in your body. We're just going to sit up nice and tall here for a moment. Again, thinking of your tailbone lifting down, your front hip points lifting up. Again, this is a back bend, but we want the bend to be coming primarily from our thoracic spine and not just crunching in our low back. There is going to be some bend there, obviously. It's a pretty flexible part of our spine because of like our rib cage, and our hips are around our sacrum, ribs are around our thoracic spine. So it's a little more vulnerable spot in our spine. So there will be some bend there, but we want to protect it as much as we can by keeping the muscle engagement. All right, hands come back down to the floor, tucking your left toes under, stepping back to downward facing dog. Other side, left foot steps up behind your left hand. Heel toeing your left foot over behind your right wrist. Left knee comes to the ground, right behind your left wrist, coming in as close as it needs to that hip as you wiggle your right leg back, uncurling your toes. Again, hips right up over top of the midline here, that right leg going straight back from your right hip socket. Hip points lifting up, sitting up nice and tall. Breathing here. Hands come back down to the floor, right underneath of your shoulders, tucking your right toes under, stepping your left foot back. Downward facing dog, just for a breath. On your exhale, gently placing your knees down about max width apart, hips coming back to your heels, child's pose. Breathing here, really allowing your air to fill your back body, almost like it's stretching your back. On your inhale, walking your hands in. We're just gonna spin our legs to one side. Last little part of our peak section here. We're gonna do a reverse plank. So your hands are gonna come down to your side, toes pointing towards your heels, so like towards your bum. Wrists are gonna stay right underneath of your shoulders. The first time, we're gonna do this twice. The first time, we're gonna plant our feet down to the floor. So feet are parallel to each other, about hips distance apart, heel right behind your second toe. Pressing down through all four corners of your feet. We're gonna exhale here, inhale, lifting up to like a reverse table. So again, knees right behind, or heels right behind, underneath your knees, shoulders right underneath of your wrists. Neck can just relax back. Lengthening your tailbone towards the back of your knees, pressing evenly into your hands and your feet. One more breath, lifting up on your hips. And exhale, lower down. We're gonna do that one more time. You can do it exactly how we just did with your legs bent. The other option would be to extend your legs down in front of you. I'm gonna demonstrate it this way. It's difficult, so that there's a good chance I won't necessarily be able to talk through it, and I'll be trying really hard just to breathe. So, feet hips distance apart, toes pointing down, hands right behind your shoulders. Inhale here, exhale here, and inhale, press through your hands, press through your feet, hips lift up. Breathing here, tailbone lengthening down, inner thighs spinning down as your hips lift up. Exhale, lowering back down. Go ahead, sit up nice and tall, Dandasana, staff pose. Feet flexed, spine long. Think of your tailbone lengthening behind you like it's pointing towards the top edge of your mat. Just taking another moment here, broadening through your collarbone. One more breath. All right, we're gonna bend the right knee in, planting your right foot down to the mat. Then from here, gently opening our right knee out to the side so it's externally rotated, bringing your right foot to the inside of your left thigh. Sitting up nice and tall here, lifting through the crown of your head, shoulder blades gently slide away from your ears. Inhale here, exhale, hinging forward from your hips. So just like we did in our wide-legged forward fold, it's your actual hip bones you feel tilting forward as you walk your hands forward. Think of your toe, or your nose, pointing towards, pointing towards your pinky toe. Breathing here. Spine's long. One more breath. Inhale, walking your hands back in, sitting up. We're gonna use your hand to bring your right foot back onto the floor. We're gonna take a twist here. So again, sitting up nice and tall. Bring your right hand just behind your right hip, and exhale, twisting towards the right. You can look out over your left or right shoulder. One more breath. And exhale, unwind. Other side, we're gonna extend our right leg, bend your left leg in, plant your left foot down to the floor. Sit up nice and tall. We're gonna allow our left knee to fold out to the side so it's externally rotated. That foot comes to the inside of our right thigh. Again, sitting up nice and tall. Exhale, hinge forward, hinging from your hips so your spine stays long. Nose is pointing towards your pinky toe here. You might only move forward a few inches, and that's okay. We want to protect our back here. One more breath. Inhale, walking your hands back in, using your hand to bring your knee back to the center. Sitting up tall, inhale, and exhale. Left hand comes behind your left hip. Right hand to your left knee, twisting towards the left. You can look out over your left shoulder. One more breath here. Exhale, unwind. Extend your left leg down. And we're just going to slowly lower down to our back. So engage your legs here. Lift up on your quads, toes and knees pointing up towards the sky. And just reach your arms forward in front of you. Inhale here and exhale, coming down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lowering it down. Go ahead, hug your knees into your chest. Just gently rock from side to side. And make your way into Shavasana, final relaxation pose. You can have your feet flat on the floor and knees bent. Or if it doesn't cause you any sort of pain or discomfort in your low back, extending your feet down your mat. Closing your eyes here if that feels comfortable for you. Just allowing your breath to be natural. Allowing your body to feel heavy on your mat. Just taking a few moments here. Just trying to clear our minds. You're welcome to stay here in Shavasana as long as you'd like. If you're ready, you can invite movement back into your body, wiggling your fingers and your toes, deepening your breathing. And hug your knees into your chest. And then just taking your time, however you'd like, make your way back up to a comfortable seated position. We'll take a few breaths here together before we complete our practice. A nice deep inhale, scooping your arms up overhead. Then exhale your hands down through heart center. And again, nice deep inhale. And exhale. Last time, inhale. Exhale, hands to heart center. Thank you all so much for joining me this morning. Namaste. Thank you all very much for joining me this morning. I hope you enjoyed your practice. I will be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and then Friday at 5 p.m. for total body conditioning. So I hope you catch one of my classes. Thank you all so much.